Remember Sven Baertschi? Yeah, that guy the Vancouver Canucks acquired via trade from the Calgary Flames a few years ago. He was a pretty solid NHLer for a few years, but has most recently been playing with the Utica Comets. So today, in a quick Sven Baertschi update, let's talk a little bit about the rumors and the potential trade that is inevitable. It's like Thanos. It's going to happen. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, let's go over onto Rick Dollywall's Twitter, because he did have a few things to say about this earlier in the morning. This was at 8:24 a.m. today. The Vancouver Canucks are working with Sven Baertschi's agent to try and find him a new home. Baertschi's agent, Andre Ruffner, would like a change of scenery for his client. We would like to get traded. I'm in contact with Jim Benning. He knows that. Then take a look at this follow-up tweet just a minute later, also from Dollywall. Baertschi has been very professional and has shown a great attitude in Utica, where the Canucks have many prospects. Both sides are working to see if there is a trade somewhere. So there you have it. Sven Baertschi is very much open to the possibility of a trade, and in fact, it seems like he's encouraging it. And the Vancouver Canucks, on their part, are very open about having Baertschi on the trade block as well. Now, this to me is not a surprise. Taking a look at what Sven Baertschi has been doing in his past few years playing hockey, he has been a traditional NHL forward, and he has had a pretty good successful rate on this Canucks team. However, give him a few injuries, give him a few concussions here and there, and set him back a little bit, and now you're looking at a Sven Baertschi today who isn't really going to be given the opportunities with this Vancouver squad anymore. And that sucks. That really does suck, because Sven Baertschi was legitimately a good player for the Vancouver Canucks. It's just that under Travis Green and under the way things have gone recently, I don't necessarily see him coming back onto this team anytime soon. Especially with the news that Jim Benning is trying to acquire another top 6 forward via trade, it doesn't look like Baertschi is the guy to become that player. I said this in my video a few days ago, but it's kind of weird to me how Benning wants to get a top 6 player when you have somebody who is arguably a top 6 player in Sven Baertschi just playing over there with the Utica Comets. But, of course, things have changed. Baertschi today is not necessarily the same Baertschi that was playing with Besser and Horvat on the famous BBB line. Back when I was in my senior year of high school, grade 12, I would make videos about the BBB line. That's a big throwback. It's really nice just reminiscing on the good times, but Sven Baertschi today is not necessarily in that same boat, and as a result, he hasn't been played with the Canucks all year, pretty much. He did have a short stint when a few guys were injured, but he got sent back down. And in fact, if you're taking a look at it, Sven Baertschi over the past 2 seasons, from the start of the 2018-19 season, has only played 32 NHL games. So the injuries and the concussions, they really started to catch up with Baertschi, and that really does suck. But for the most part, he has been a serviceable NHL forward when he's in the lineup, and nothing can take away from that. Baertschi has been a good Canuck, and overall, the fact that he's been really professional about all this just speaks volumes to the kind of character that the guy is. He's 27 years of age right now, so he's not the same 25-year-old blitz that was holding up the fort with the BBB line with Besser and Horvat when Besser was a rookie. So I don't necessarily see there being too much room for Baertschi to get necessarily better than he is right now, but what I do feel confident in is the idea that he's just not going to get a chance on this team anymore. The way he plays the game is not necessarily something that I think Travis Green would utilize in his bottom 6, and we've talked about this before. Baertschi's more offensively minded, he's not necessarily a defensive grinder, PK kind of guy, so save that bottom 6 spot for a player who actually is capable of that. And it's an interesting philosophy. You could definitely argue whether or not it's the proper way to go, but Baertschi is now on the trade block, and we will most likely never see Baertschi in a Canucks uniform again. That's really weird to say. He'll probably play a few more games with the Comets before getting traded, but as a member of the Canucks, I don't necessarily see that happening. But honestly, I can totally see this working out for any other team that tries to jump on Sven Baertschi. I saw this on Twitter, I saw this on Reddit. Teams like the Islanders or like the Red Wings or other teams that are not necessarily great on the wing, these teams could definitely benefit from a guy like Sven Baertschi coming in. Play a guy like Sven Baertschi in your middle six in Detroit. Have him playing alongside Filip Zadina or whatever, because the way Jeff Blashill has been changing up these lines, Zadina's on the third line anyway. Imagine him playing with Baertschi. That would be really, really good. It could rejuvenate Baertschi's career in the NHL. Have a guy like Sven Baertschi playing on the left side in the Islanders. Play him with Matthew Barzal or whatever. Have him with your already stacked top six forward core. There are many options for Sven Baertschi to actually come back and play as an NHLer, but with the Vancouver Canucks and their logjam of forwards, it doesn't seem possible here. So one may ask, what exactly could Sven Baertschi fetch the Canucks back in a trade-like scenario? Well, if I'm gonna be honest, not much. People have been joking around, hey, we can trade Sven Baertschi to the Devils and get Taylor Hall back. Okay, calm your horses. Obviously, that's a joke, but if we're gonna explore trade possibilities, we have to look at the return. And when you're taking a look at it at face value, you're getting a player who's 27 years of age. He's got 1 year left at $3.366666 million, something like that. And the guy hasn't played too many NHL games over the past 2 years. I did say that he could be a serviceable NHL forward who could probably get 30-35 points in a year in an 82-game season, but the fact is he hasn't played all too much. And the fact is, he's a guy who's been riddled with concussions. And on top of that 1 extra year, I don't necessarily see Sven Baertschi being the guy that gets us a pretty significant return. If not a really late draft pick in the 5th, 6th, or 7th rounds, I don't see Baertschi getting us a top prospect. Maybe I'll be generous and say Baertschi could get us a 3rd or a 4th. Or maybe I'm going to be really harsh and say that the Canucks actually need to add in order to get Baertschi off the team and with another opponent. So there are really weird options for this to go, and I'm not necessarily too sure where is the right path. But one thing's for sure, I don't think the Vancouver Canucks would win a Sven Baertschi trade. Unless they're getting a really interesting prospect or a pick back that turns into something really great, I don't see a scenario where the Canucks ultimately in 5 years end up winning this trade. This is just a guy who could be playing in the NHL but isn't right now. A guy who's been riddled with injuries, a guy who's a little bit older, and a guy who does have a year left with a somewhat significant cap hit. That's not a player that you trade away and actually get a quote-unquote good return for. In fact, when Sven Baertschi gets traded, the one who wins the trade is Baertschi himself. That and probably whoever line mate he gets paired up with down the line. Because Dhaliwal said it himself, Baertschi and the agent, they're the ones who want the trade the most. And once Baertschi is playing in the NHL again, he's getting paid the same amount of money to actually play in the National Hockey League. Things probably will work out a little bit better. It's just kind of unfortunate that it wasn't with the Vancouver Canucks. With this, though, it doesn't mean that we should devalue his time with the Vancouver Canucks anytime soon, because Sven Baertschi was a legitimately good player for this team. It's just really unfortunate to see how things ended up. Baertschi today is tied for 3rd on the Utica Comets in points with 22 points in 15 games played. He's been a total beast, and if there's any player that does deserve a shot at the NHL again, it's definitely this one. The Comets have some really good forwards with Boucher, with Goldolbin, with Lind, but Sven Baertschi is the one with the highest points per game. He's been their most impactful player. Aside from Reid Boucher, who is almost at a goal a game, Baertschi has definitely proved himself worthy, and I'm just looking forward to seeing where it happens next. So comment down below what you think. I'm interested in hearing your trade proposals because I know that's definitely going to happen. It always does when we're talking about trade-like scenarios with the Vancouver Canucks. But Sven Baertschi has been a trooper, he's been a warrior this entire time, and I respect the hell out of the guy. But hey, if he's been playing in Utica and he wants to play in the NHL, and he's not going to get that chance here, then I hope his next NHL team treats him well. Hope you enjoyed this video, Social Life 9, and bye.